All right, sis, we're about to have that conversation. You know the one that I'm talking about. The one where you stop pretending that you have everything together and you start getting real with yourself. How many times have you told yourself that you are really ready for a relationship? I mean, this time you're ready, but deep down inside, there is a voice that keeps whispering, girl, no, you ain't. And that's because you know that there has been baggage that you have never unpacked, wounds that have never healed, and those toxic habits that are keeping you stuck on this hamster wheel. Sis, this is not about judgment. It is about liberation. Lying to yourself about being ready does not only keep you stuck, it actually blocks you from the love that you say that you want. And if we're being real, the truth of the matter is it's not as scary as it seems. In fact, when we actually face the fears that are in front of us that are keeping us scared, keeping us stuck, you can finally take control of the growth and the love that you want. So in today's video, we're talking about all of the signs that you may not be as ready for a relationship as you say that you are. So if you are ready to take a deeper dive in, let's do just that. You are not ready for a relationship if, number one, you are emotionally attached to an ex of yours. Anytime we get into our relationships, anytime we want to date someone else, we really need to rid ourselves of our past emotional baggage. If I am saying that I'm ready for a relationship, but I know secretly I am texting my ex, if I know secretly I'm having sex with my ex, because I don't really want to start having sex with somebody new because I know this over here. Even if I say that I know that a relationship is not going to occur there, I may be pretending that I know that, but deep down inside, my heart is still attached over here. So I'm dating, I'm keeping my options open, but really, am I truly giving myself the opportunity to open up to this new person over here? Or am I secretly praying that this ex and this relationship over here, he wakes up one day and says, you know what? I need to get my stuff together for my boo. And you being the boo. I get it. I get all of that. But if you are still emotionally attached over here, this new thing that you're trying to build over here will never work out. At some point, you are going to lose both. Because at some point, X is going to be like, you know what, I'm done. Because maybe he didn't actually found him a new person because he was doing the same thing that you were doing. But now he don't want to deal with you no more like that because he has his person. You're not her no more, right? And so now you get dumped over here. But then you also get dumped over here from the new situation because he's like, there's a wall here. I can't get past this. I don't know what it is. She's not sharing. She's not really opening up. She's not being vulnerable with me. And maybe he's not saying all of this stuff outwardly, right? And he's definitely not saying it to you, but he's processing. There is a disconnect. The attachment that I thought we initially had, she's keeping up a wall. She's keeping me at arm's length. I'm not able to really get deep down connected with her. And that is because you're secretly attached emotionally to this person over here. And so you can only open up so much over here before that wall comes back up. Because again, you may be secretly hoping that this one comes back, that he opens up his eyes, that he sees your worth, that he understands what you were bringing to the table, that you are wifey material, all of the things. But it doesn't work out over here. And at some point, like I said, you lose out. I remember I had this one client, and it was a male many years ago at this point, and he was dating two women, and he was trying to figure out which one he wanted to move forward with in the long run. And so our coaching conversations together, he was literally taking what we were talking about, and he was pretty much going to ask questions / coach the women that he was dating so he can get a better understanding of how to move forward. And as time went on, because I get it, you want to get a better understanding of who you're dating. I get that, whatever. But as time moved on and our coaching conversations kept going, at some point I advised him, hey, you are going to have to make a decision, because if you don't make a decision to who you want, the women that he was dating, you're going to lose them both. Trust me, you're going to lose them both, because something is going to happen. It may be that you're mixing up stories. It may be that, again, you're feeling really connected over here and not really over here, but you can't really share. too much because you might get the stories mixed up. You might have to start shutting down slowly again. So you're not like, okay, wait a minute. Did she tell me this or did she tell me this? Or now you got to go back to your pen and paper because you've been writing down stuff, which I'm not necessarily saying that that's a bad thing. The point is, for him in particular, he ended up losing both because he didn't make a decision so he can fully move forward with one of them. He lost them both because he was trying to do too much with too many people. Initially, when you start dating someone, dating multiple people, if that's your thing, is a-okay. It becomes a problem when you start to get attached and you don't make a decision. When you don't make a decision, the decision gets made for you. In this case, you lose on both ends. And then you have to start the process all over again after you have hopefully taken a break and reflected on some lessons that you learned from what to do and what not to do the next time you move forward. You are not ready for a relationship if you are still having sex with other people and or that ex that I mentioned. Yeah, you're not ready for a relationship because in order for you to be able to open up and fully give yourself to someone else, you have to be rid of your past. This includes having sex with other people. It's time to be healthier. It's time to be celibate. It's time to reflect. It's time to shut things down so you can stop repeating the same toxic habits and behaviors that you were repeating over and over and over again. And if you want to get something different, we have to do something different, right? In order to get this better life, in order to get this relationship that you truly want, you have to do something different. At some point, being celibate is the something different. At some point, shutting down everybody else is the different. At some point, taking the lessons that you've learned is the different. Whatever your different is, in this case, we're talking about having sex with other people, you have to be willing to stop and shut all that stuff down in order to be ready to be fully open, in order to be ready to be fully eyes wide open so you can recognize red flags when they come. A lot of us are not ready and or able to recognize the red flags because we are emotionally attached to this person, but we're still having sex with somebody else. And you can't recognize the red flags that happen over here because you're still giving your body to this person. But you also may miss the red flags over here and or can't see that this person is a good person. That there are green flags over here because you're still stuck over here. You're still stuck over in the past. You're still stuck over here in this toxicity. You have not accepted the fact that this relationship has not worked out, which is why you're still giving your body to this person. At some point, you have to be a big girl and a big boy, and you have to detach yourself from these other people. Physically, emotionally, from your exes. No one night stands. Nothing that's going to put you in harm's way. Some things that you may regret doing later on. Shut all that down so you can clearly see what's actually happening. A lot of people do that because they're running away from something. You want this to happen. I get that. So you're trying to run toward it, even though the other person is like, well, no, I'll take what you're giving, i.e. sex. I'll take that. But anything else beyond that is a no-no, which is why we're not together anymore anyway. So accepting the fact that you're not together with this person, shutting down and becoming celibate for at least a period of time so you can really evaluate. Damn, what happened? What lessons did you learn from dealing with this person? What's the good that you actually want to take from that previous relationship? And what's the bad that you want to reflect on and not 100% point the finger at the other person? That you want to say, you know what? Okay, there was something that I did here too. I got to stop having sex with other people. Your eyes will open up. And you can clearly see who the person is that's trying to come into your life. You can't do that if you're having sex with other people. We think that there are no, and I've heard this, I should say. I've heard this plenty of times that there are no more good men out there, and including women. But it's just not true. You can't see them because you haven't done your work. You can't see them because you don't know exactly who you are or what you want. You can't see them because this looks different to you, because it's not toxic behaviors and or habits that are coming your way that you don't recognize as green flags, as meaning go further, go out on more dates, give this person another chance. Maybe this is your person. You can't see any of the green flags because you're too stuck, because you haven't done your work over here. We got to slow things down. We got to slow things down. But that having sex with other people is never going to get you connected to the new person. It's just not. It doesn't work that way. You're not ready for a relationship if you cannot control your emotions. If during an argument you turn into a toddler with a temper tantrum, you are not ready for a relationship. If you start spewing name calling, right, during the time because you heard no and or you didn't get your way, you are not ready for a relationship. If you cannot self-regulate your emotions and actually have some tools to do that, you're not ready for a relationship. Some of the tools to do that is literally just taking a break. Some of the tools to do that is taking some deep breaths. Some of the tools to do that is to say, you know what, I feel myself becoming very angry and possibly may even want to get violent with you. So what I'm going to actually do is walk away. See, that is being able to regulate your emotions, because you want to do something different. You want to become somebody different. You want to show up different in order to get different results, in order to be the woman that God sees you as, in order to be the man that God sees you as. You're not ready for a relationship if you are still throwing temper tantrums. You're not ready for a relationship if somebody wants to go out and be by themselves for whatever reason and you can't handle it. You're not ready for a relationship if you can't have the tough conversations, the ones that scare you, the ones that, dang, if I have this conversation, this may end this relationship. Facing that is going to help you to get to where you need to be that much sooner. Maybe the relationship does end, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe it actually connects the two of you on a deeper level because you were willing to face it head on. Being able to regulate your emotions is going to help you that much further into your relationship. You'll be able to feel stronger about yourself, to be able to express the things that you want, need, and desire, understanding that even if this person doesn't say the thing that I feel I want to hear, it's okay. It's okay. Because we are human. We are imperfect people trying to get into these relationships and cultivate something beautiful. It doesn't mean it's going to be perfect all the time, because that is not a real relationship. You're not ready for a relationship if you have any other attachment style other than secure. There are plenty of different titles to the attachment styles, and I'm going to say there is at least a minimum of 4. If you have anything less than a secure attachment style, then you are not ready for a relationship. And the reason why I'm saying this is because many of us get into the relationships and we don't realize that we're bringing all of this baggage with us. If you are anything less than a secure, you may be super anxious, and now you're bringing all this stuff with you, right? You may be avoiding. Well, I don't want to deal with none of this stuff, and now you're bringing that with you. That's not healthy attachment style. It's not a healthy attachment style. I suffered from being in the anxious attachment style. Anytime I would hear the word no, and or my ex wanted to go somewhere and do something when I wasn't there, I had a problem with it. And it wasn't so much that I was accusing him, right? I wasn't necessarily accusing him that you out there and you trying to do this and you trying to do that. It wasn't necessarily that. It was just, I thought that we should be in each other's company, in each other's face all the time. I didn't realize that it's healthy for me time. I had to learn that. I had to learn that. And that's okay, because I took the things that I did not know and I worked on them. I took, right, the lessons that I learned from the relationships, and let's be real, the situationships that did not work out, and I actually had to reflect and had to sit my butt down somewhere, and I had to take a break from dating to say, what are you doing, Marshawn? What you doing? Why do you keep going on this dating roller coaster? And you've been here for years. Aren't you tired? I was tired. I was tired of being on the dating roller coaster. I was tired of the highs and then the damn lows. And a lot of that had to do with me. And so for me, my anxious attachment style, I had to deal with that. And I had to love all on Marshawn. And a lot of that is because we don't have the tools to become secure. So I highly suggest working with a coach. Might be me, working with a therapist. I have a lot of coaching clients that work with me as the coach as well as the therapist, because I'm helping to move forward. But the therapist is actually unpacking the what happened to you stuff. They're peeling back that particular onion from you. And I do that a tiny bit, but I'm not a therapist, so I don't go deep. That's not my area. That's not my area of genius. I want you to understand what's happening and why that's happening, but then we talk about moving you forward. You are not ready for a relationship if you cannot set and enforce the boundaries. When you're able to do this, this teaches the person how to treat you. This lets the other person know what you will and will not accept. But then you also must have a willingness to walk all the way. Get the stepping, get the stepping, get the stepping, get the stepping, if the boundaries are crossed. You have to be willing to be able to say, nope, this ain't for me, homie. And not feel bad about walking away. I have a lot of clients who know what boundaries are. They have been able to set boundaries, but when it comes time to enforce the boundary that has been crossed, this is where they fall short. And here's the thing. Let's go with cheating, because people know cheating, right? Okay, so if you have a boundary that you have set to say, I do not tolerate cheating, and if you cheat on me, I'm out the door. And then said thing happens months later, years later, whatever, the cheating happens. They have now crossed the boundary, right? And you, as the person who set the boundary, cannot close the circle or close the line with enforcing that boundary. Now you are the one that suffers the consequence. Why? Because number one, you set a boundary, you didn't enforce the boundary. So there's a misalignment with this right here. And what's occurring right here is that the respect that your partner has for yourself, the person that cheated on you, now tanks significantly. Not to mention your own self-respect actually declines as well. But that's one thing, right? But then there's also the second thing where he's like, well, she actually said that if I cheated, I crossed the boundary. The boundary was she was going to leave, but she didn't. Not only does the self-respect go down, not only does his respect for you go down as well, but now he decides that he can do it again because you're not going anywhere. You're not going to do anything. What's coming out your mouth is not matching up with what you said you were going to do. So not only must you be willing to set the boundary, you must be willing to enforce the boundary if it's ever crossed. That is that walk in the way. That is that, in this case, that was what the boundary was. But whatever your boundary is, if it's crossed, and you specifically said this is the boundary, but this is also what happens, the consequence to the boundary, and then you don't enforce, you are the one that's going to suffer the most. Just think about it. You may have a friend, this may even been you, who has gotten cheated on time and time again. And she keeps crying about it, literally and figuratively. She may be literally crying to him about it. She's cried to you about it, literally and figuratively. She's told multiple people about it. But when it comes time to actually doing something about it, she doesn't. And then she doesn't realize why he keeps doing this to me. It's because of the very thing that I just said. The self-respect goes down. But then also there may be other things that are playing a part as to why she doesn't enforce said boundary. So if you are going to set it, you must be willing to enforce it. If you can't do this, you're not ready for a relationship. Because at some point in your relationship, somebody is going to cross the boundary. It's a part of life. We are imperfect people trying to build these relationships and make them as perfect as possible. Sometimes we fall short. And I'm not making excuses because we're human and we fall short. However, we know that it's going to happen. It doesn't make it any less painful when it does happen. But if and when it does happen, now you have to be willing to do something about the does happen or did happen to you. The final way to tell that you are not ready for a relationship is you have not identified and or try to identify, as in go get help for identifying, and or started working through your baggage, your trauma, your toxicity. Instead of pointing the finger at other people about what didn't go right and what he didn't do, what did you do? How did you, and what did you add to the relationship coming to its demise? Did you know that 70% of adults in the US have experienced traumatic experiences? So that's the majority of people that are around you, right? And let's say out of 10 people, 7 of the 10 people have experienced some traumatic experiences. That's a lot of people in our circle. So just imagine the people that we are out here trying to date. Something has been going on with the majority of us. If you have not started to get some of that stuff out of your system, get that muck and mire up out of you / off of you, you're not ready for a relationship. Because most of us have dealt with something. Most of us have brought some baggage to the table. And you cannot say that it's the other person's fault all the time. You have to be willing to take accountability for the things that you are doing, for how you are showing up, the stuff that you brought to the relationship, and how you contributed to the toxicity and the demise.